Good afternoon, Anna. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good, thank you, and happy Friday to you. And thank you for coming on and hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Psyched. I'm really excited too. So, joining us, we have Anna Kinney. Anna is the Chief Product Officer at Tongo, and we're going to get a lot more into Tongo in a few minutes. We're both, well, I'm a recovering Chief Product Officer, but I've been a Chief Product Officer at 5 different companies. So we have that in common, which is really kind of fun, right?
Great.
And I think that's pretty cool. I would love to kind of kick things off just a little bit, as you might imagine, a little bit about you, a little bit about your journey, and maybe kind of, briefly what brought you to your current role at Tongo, Anna.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, I'm Anna Kinney. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Tongo. And that means I'm responsible for the product strategy, the
Mhm.
product vision, product roadmap.
Mhm.
Ultimately, how does a product help the business growth?
Sure. What
So
value you bring into the market, right?
exactly, what is the
Yeah.
value? What is the customer value? And how the heck did I get here? I guess I grew up loving math and logic. And
Cool.
I was going to, thinking about
Were you
where
a
I,
mathlete?
I was not much of a mathlete because it takes, I'm not one for speed, but that part of the Mean Girls musical definitely resonated with me.
Love that part.
So I was thinking, oh, where do I want to go to college? I
Mhm.
was accepted to Georgia Tech, which was awesome,
Nice.
and Oxford College, part of Emory University.
Yeah.
And all that deliberation, I was like, I don't want to do anything with engineering. I just, I'm going to do liberal arts. So I went to Oxford College, graduated from Emory in Atlanta with a degree in English, and then promptly spent the next 6 years in environmental engineering. So
A perfect segue.
perfect segue, right? And then I, was there 6 years, and I just didn't. I loved my work and the people I worked with, but I didn't have that passion in my belly.
Yeah,
I
I hear you.
didn't read environmental engineering journals at night just for fun, right? So
Sure.
I loved business and leadership and got an MBA from University of North Carolina, Chapel
Ah,
Hill,
Tar
um,
Heels. Yeah.
Tar Heels, yes, go Heels. Um, and then spent 3 years in management consulting, which I often think of as a residency program
Yeah.
for
I understand
people.
what
Yeah, you get what I mean?
I get exactly what you mean. Yeah, absolutely.
And then found out, I did have just a passion for technology, for
Mhm.
building product and leadership. And I joined a product group at Microsoft, and I was there working on V0 and V1 products for a little over 20 years. I was going to say
Yeah.
two, but it was 20 years. I launched the first Spot watch a long time ago. I brought Office 365 for education to market, growing that from 200,000 to more than 20 million
Whoa.
worldwide, which was very exciting.
Outstanding.
And then when I hit that 20-year mark, I was like, oh, I really wanted to have more impact. I
Mm.
wanted to bet on myself. I
Yeah.
wanted to wake up every morning with that
Hmm.
fire in my belly. So
Hmm.
2 years ago, Brandon, the CEO, offered me to join Tongo as their chief product officer. And I have to say, I love it. I love that I'm betting on myself. I can
Love it.
feel the impact that we're making. And I do once again wake up with that fire in my
That
belly.
fire in your belly. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love I love your trajectory and honestly the story, Anna, because we've talked to so many entrepreneurs, women leaders on this show that have had that a little bit of a similar path as you, right? Where they've sort of like been in I'll call it safe, but I'm going to use the bunny air quotes around safe because no environment is truly 100% safe, right? Even Microsoft, you could wake up one morning and
Absolutely.
your group could not be there anymore. I mean, these things happen, but at the same time there is some safety in numbers and safety in these large organizations, and of course you learn a lot when you're in those large organizations, processes to best practices. You make amazing friends and colleagues and networks and all kinds of things. But you said it's time for me to bet on myself, right? It's time for me to kind of switch it up and leave a 20-year career at Microsoft.
Right.
I think that's pretty brave and pretty bold, Anna. Did you feel like you had kind of done everything that you wanted to do at Microsoft, or was it less about that and really just more about it's time for Anna to bet on herself?
A little bit of both, to be honest.
Yeah.
Part of it was because I had other offers to stay within Microsoft. I was looking, I was at a inflection point where I wanted to do something new. And a lot of the things we talked about, even though there were V0, V1 products, it's like I'd seen that movie before, and wanted to really take ownership and responsibility for making an impact and growing a business.
Nice. And as a woman executive in the in the tech landscape, it's you're still in that minority, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you've encountered some challenges. I'm sure you've encountered some triumphs. How have both of those challenges and triumphs sort of shaped your approach that you take today as the chief product officer at Tongo?
Well, often, the earlier in my career, the standard answer to, differentiating women in technology and leadership roles was for women to say, it's not different. I'm not different from,
right. Right. Yeah.
I am the same, and really downplaying the gendered aspect of leadership.
Sure.
And that, I think, does a disservice. It does a disservice because it makes those real differences invisible to people.
Right.
So it's that, for example, it reinforces just the status quo that everything is fine and everyone feels included by default, right?
Right. Which we know isn't true.
Right. And one of those is microaggressions, which diverse employees face every day, whether it's women, people of color, people, the LGBT community.
Yep, absolutely.
And those are when those micro moments are overlooked and they're made invisible, people become invisible, right?
Right.
So while it all can be done in a very open, transparent way of, did you notice that this, example of microaggressions, it's just important to identify them, call them by name, so people feel seen and people can contribute.
I like that. And I want to further on that too, Anna, right? It goes beyond affinity groups and other things, right? I've been at organizations where like, well, but we have a women in leadership affinity group, and Anna, you can feel free to join that, right?
Right.
It is more than that, right? It is, like you say, being deliberate about those examples and having those sort of conversations, right?
And having allyship, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm really proud of the culture that we've been creating at Tongo. Yeah. It people do feel like they're really part of the company, part of the change we're trying to make, and can voice their opinions, get their ideas heard, and feel seen.
I love that. I love the feel seen part, Anna. That's wonderful. And I was going to kind of ask you as a follow on now to Tongo, like, what aspect of Tongo's, mission and its vision resonate most with you? Clearly, you just gave us a very good example, and it sounds like part of it is what you are continuing to foster and build and grow there. But let's just talk a little bit about Tongo. What drew you to them? And then, of course, maybe first and foremost, we should say, what is Tongo? What are you folks doing over there?
Yeah, well, we're building a financial platform for people that work on commission. So if you think about the U.S. economy right now, about half of the people have regular, predictable income.
Right.
And financial products today are built for people that have regular, predictable income.
Loans, credit cards. Yeah.
Loans, credit cards, gym membership, Netflix, all the bills come in monthly. But people who work on commission don't have a predictable
Yeah,
income.
yeah.
You know,
Big
real
big
estate
check comes
agents,
in,
yeah,
and then it doesn't for a while, right?
yeah, you can
Yeah,
have a couple checks a month and
yeah.
no checks for a few months.
Mm.
So Tongo is solving this inequity between people that work on salary and people that work on a commission. Because you also, people that work on commission, they don't have financial benefits that people do that work on salary. For
Sure,
example, my taxes are taken out.
sure.
I
Yeah.
divert money to my mortgage account.
Mhm,
I have automatic withdrawal for my health savings account,
mhm,
my retirement.
mhm.
People that work on commission, they get all that big old check in
Big lump.
one big lump.
Mhm.
And it's up to them then to determine what accounts they need, how much to save for taxes, how to file taxes,
Mhm.
um, how much to save for retirement. Have to kind of cobble their own CFO program together. And that's what Tongo does, is really help people that work on commission with that CFO part of the job.
I like that. That's like you're like your own CFO, right?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
CFO of you. That's outstanding. And you and I talked a little bit about this in our pre-call back around the idea of, you try to maybe live to your base salary and then commissions or bonuses on top of that. But
Mhm.
sometimes we're talking about people here, Anna, that do not have a base salary, right? They're
Exactly.
100% commission-based work. There's no like, well, at least you have a base salary coming in every month. You can plan to that. This is not always the case with your stakeholders.
Absolutely.
Mm.
They could have all their income come in February and then not have another income event or commission payment until May or June. The
Mm.
average real estate agent closes about 5 deals per year.
Mhm.
And if you think about 4 to 5 deals, 4 or 5 residential property transactions per year, but you still have those 12 income events.
Right.
So, how do you give people access to tools that are specifically designed for them? So, if you think about um, credit cards, people that work on commission, real estate agents rely more
Sure.
heavily on credit cards. And they use that not really fit for purpose. They're using that as a small business loan.
Right.
So we provide products where agents can access capital
Sure.
from their future income, and also better ways to auto budgeting, we call it,
That's nice.
and save for the future.
I like that because, I mean, certainly, like you said, using a credit card as a small business loan is not the intended purpose of a credit card. And obviously, you're going to be subjected to extremely high credit card interest rates, and those only seem to be going up. I mean, every time I peek at what my current interest rate is on my credit card, I almost have a small heart attack, right, when you see those.
Absolutely. And also, yeah, like it's when you think about the credit system is really designed for people to have that regular income match that regular expense monthly and your ability to pay that monthly bill.
Mm,
So when people work on commission, their credit scores can often be a little bit lower, not because they're bad at budgeting, but
right.
more just the reality of their income stream.
Sure. Sure. This is a very sort of like, impactful problem for you to solve, for Tongo to solve. Um, it's very unique in what I hear you guys doing. I'm sure you have competitors. I'm not aware of them, but it sounds to me like a very unique approach that you're taking, a lot of impact associated with it. Why, I guess, did Tongo decide to take up this problem, right? And why did Anna, I guess, decide to join up and take up this problem? You were doing things at Microsoft that were also very worthy problems to solve, right? Bringing
Yes.
Office to the education industry, very worthy thing to solve for the education industry to take advantage of, these highly powerful collaboration and integration tools that are within Microsoft Office.
And
Worthy problem.
also, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no,
And
no,
also, yeah, enterprise level
sure.
security, bringing that to small business was my last
Oh,
big
there you go.
project for
Yeah,
Microsoft.
even
So
better. So why shouldn't small businesses be able to have the same benefit of enterprise security that a large company does, right? So but now you're really thinking about this notion of I'm gonna even call it something like, I don't know if I should call it income. It's not income equality, Anna, but it's certainly like having more normalization to income, right?
Yeah, and it's about, and if I may, it's about financial products too.
Yeah,
So financial products are just built for people on the regular income,
right,
and there are no financial products that are really designed specifically for people that work on commission. You think about the general store from 100 years ago, you'd put something on a tab, you'd put
right.
something on a tab,
Pay
right?
it monthly.
You wouldn't have to pay it monthly back then,
Right,
hundreds of years ago. You would pay it back when you got paid.
right.
So we're really trying to redefine or really create a new market for this really unmet need.
How do you continue to kind of move through that as the economy continues to change, and I think about, like, is this not just appropriate for people who are commission based, but people who are gig economy based, where also you have maybe inconsistent income streams as a result of being part of the gig economy? And do you see sort of a long tail here of the types of people that you would serve? It just seems to me like there's much more of a stakeholder for you than just folks who are primarily commission based in their comp.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We started with real estate agents because it's quite a large market,
Right.
1.2 to 1.5 million with residential real estate agents in the US.
Hmm.
And we're really learning with them.
Right.
As we talked about, I'm a real proponent of co-design with customers and partners. When a product is brought to market with co-design, it almost ensures product market fit
Sure.
because we're not designing something to or pushing product, but we're really having conversations with people in the gig economy, people that work on commission, brokerages who are trying to recruit and retain new agents.
Hmm.
So all of that listening and co-working with customers and partners helps build a product that is unique to them. They're in their struggles, pain points, and what brings them joy.
I really appreciate what you just said there, right? In terms of, like, you're not pushing something on, right? You are
Right.
you are truly pulling it out of them, contextually, right? And understanding
Absolutely.
where it fits into their workflow, their lifestyle, all of that, right? And look, finances are a tough thing for people to sometimes wrap their head around or even talk about, right? We still live in somewhat of a society where it's really not appropriate to talk about finances,
Right.
right? So I applaud you folks for trying to really think in a very unique and different way about what you're bringing to your clients and how you're bringing it to them in the market. That's outstanding. Anna, we talked a little earlier about how proud you are of the culture that is being created at Tongo. Obviously your mission and what you're bringing to the market, but really what you are doing in terms of the culture of the people at Tongo. Can you talk to me a little bit about, why you're so proud of it, but then also, your role in creating and fostering that culture at Tongo?
My role as a leader is really to foster, creativity,
Mm.
bringing ideas to mind, having everyone's fingerprints on a product, from the customer service folks to the CFO to the developers. How do we maintain that common vision?
Right.
I remember the story of this guy walking down the road, and he was a traveler, and he saw a person hitting a rock, right? And the guy was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm hitting a rock, And then he walked down the path a little farther and saw another guy who's hitting a rock. He was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm building a cathedral. So that connection to the vision and the mission, and what are we trying to build in the world, and who are we trying to help? Having that common sense of purpose, I'm really proud that we have that as a company.
That's great.
And also getting a little bit more tactical. I read this great book, Group Alchemy.
Okay.
It really talked about setting implicit versus explicit expectations. So
Sure.
really defining, okay, what's explicit expectations versus implicit, and having as many of our expectations be super explicit of how we work together, how we
Mm.
work with customers, and what kind of business we're trying to build.
I love that. That's beautiful. And you clearly have had some success, right? And like you said, you've been working through the real estate market, the real estate sort of broker market. Any sort of success examples, recent or maybe not so recent, at Tongo that have really made a meaningful difference for you as the CPO, and then also maybe for your clients?
Yeah, I was just brainstorming maybe a year and a half ago with a customer about financial products. And she was like, oh, yeah, I really want, we talk about budgeting, we talk about work, the work of the CFO, part of the
Sure.
job a lot, but we haven't really had an opportunity to provide tools with that talk.
Mm,
So, really getting the talk about having a budget and really delivering a tool to help people budget and save.
right.
And also access their upcoming commissions a lot earlier
Mm.
at a much more reasonable rate than what's in the market today.
Sure, I can imagine those rates are almost predatory, I would imagine, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've saved customers hundreds of thousands of dollars.
it's outstanding.
Um,
Yeah, that's outstanding. And what a great thing for you to be doing, right? I mean, it really is. It really
yeah,
is.
and we had one customer. She was new, and she was bidding on a house, kind of meaning talking to the sellers, trying to convince them to go with her.
Mm,
But she didn't have the capital to invest.
right.
So she knew she had a closing a couple months down the road, maybe 45 days. She opened up a commission back line of credit, a CLOC as we call it,
Okay.
and was able to offer staging to this house. And she had her first $1 million listing,
Wow,
which
that's
she
awesome.
was so excited about. And we're like those kind of things where we're really impacting people's lives
Sure.
are just as so important to me and to the company.
That's outstanding. It's so interesting too what you just said about the staging fee. Like, we all watch like HGTV and whatever, and you see the
Yeah,
house kids. You don't know like that the real estate agent has to pay for all of that, right? I mean,
exactly.
it's not something that, maybe in some cases the seller might pay for, but unlikely, right? The real estate agent has to pay for those things, and hopes to get them all back and then
Right,
some, right?
right,
As part of
right.
what they can deliver. When you think a little bit about some of the upcoming milestones at Tongo, right? I can't believe, we're racing towards the end of this year, Anna, right? We're driving
Right.
into next year. What are you most looking forward to with what you folks are trying to accomplish?
I'm really excited about our roadmap. There are some things that I'm excited to tell you now, and maybe need to tell some others need to tell you a little
A little
later.
later,
But
yeah.
really providing the next phase is providing more of the tools for tax savings,
Nice.
tax estimating, and tax filing, and all getting all that incorporated into the product to have a meaningful impact on this upcoming tax season.
That's outstanding. Yeah. And people get caught in that, right? I know from
Yeah.
my own advising work that I do with some younger entrepreneurs who got caught up in some of they had these huge contracts with big dollars come in, didn't plan appropriately for taxes on that. Next thing you know, those taxes are due. They don't have the cash. You can get yourself down a rat hole really quickly, right, Anna?
Very quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
especially when people are have a real estate agents have a deal that falls through, right?
Mm,
Like
yep.
they have counted on that commission, they've done all the work, they've spent the money on staging and flyers and banners. It looks like it's going to close and then it doesn't close. So
Oops.
having the ability to kind of manage that liquidity
Mm,
through, the downtimes is super important.
mm. We talked a few minutes ago about how we're both CPOs.
Yes.
And I've worked for numerous CPOs before I became one myself. I'm sure you did as well. Um, I would say honestly, about in my career, about 50-50 in terms of the chief product officers that I've reported into have either been men or women. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, if I am a woman and I aspire to kind of find my way into the C-suite, chief product officer, chief marketing officer, chief experience officer,
Yeah.
what advice do you kind of give to women aspiring to the C-suite, especially in tech, and maybe even more especially in fintech where you are?
Well, for anyone, anyone of any, gender group,
Mhm.
it's know your customer,
Yeah.
know the data, know the business. From a product perspective, know the back end and the front end, how it impacts the customer, know it at a level of detail.
Mm.
For women specifically, is people and network, but not network in terms of numbers of contacts
Mm.
or volume. Really having a group of people that you can rely on to give good advice,
Sure.
and counsel, listen, but also a group of people that believe in your potential, right?
Right.
A group of people will tell you how it is and pump you up when you're nervous, or pump you up when you're, like, oh, how do I
Right.
solve this problem? And I'm not talking about a network of casual contacts. I'm
Right.
talking about people with you can have
That you're tight with. Yeah.
deep relationships with. And
Sure.
I have a peer network group that started at Microsoft, and now we're all in different companies. And I just love that group. We've been meeting for, I think, 4 or 5 years, and once a month. And I also have a wonderful mentor in my good friend Stuart Kwan, who we kind of mapped out this methodology of 15-minute mentoring.
I
And
love it.
we've been doing that for years. Once a week, we meet for 15 minutes,
I
and
love that. Oh my
it's
gosh, that's
amazing.
so amazing. I've never heard of that before. I love that concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made it up with
Yeah.
Stuart.
That's awesome. You and Stuart should get a book deal.
Yeah,
That's
we should,
amazing.
right? It is great. Like, he just is a great voice of reason
Yeah.
and a really good ally to women
I love that.
and people all over.
I
So
love that. I actually had a mentoring session this morning with someone who I mentor, and I think we were on the phone for like 24 minutes. So we didn't quite hit 15, but to your point, you can accomplish a lot in a short burst of time,
right,
right? If both of you are kind of coming prepared and thinking about your priorities and and being very deliberate in your conversation, you
right.
can do a lot in 24 minutes or even less, even more, even better in 15 minutes,
Yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
it's easier to carve out like the 15 minutes
Sure.
a week than,
Yeah.
oh, a half an hour on my calendar or an
Yeah.
hour. And I am, like, I do try to, if I don't have a burning topic, be respectful of his time, of
Yeah.
course, and
Say, hey,
give the
we,
time.
we don't have to catch up this week. We're good,
Yeah,
right? Or whatever. Yeah. And it's funny too, because we've talked a lot on this show about when you are trying to get the courage up, maybe to reach out to someone, right? Who you think can help you. You're scared, you don't know how to send that email, or you don't know how to just literally maybe walk up to them at a networking event that you both happen to be at. But
right.
by and large, anyone will give you 15 minutes of their time if you approach them, with humility and sort of with, proper intention. I think you can make the generous assumption that most people will say, "Oh, and absolutely. Like, let's sit down for 15 minutes, or let's talk about this. I'd love to help you." Right.
Or at Microsoft, it was like, can I walk between buildings
Right.
with you,
With
right?
you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a big campus.
Right.
That's awesome. You have
It-
oh,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No,
Oh,
that's good.
I was gonna say you've inspired and motivated, I'm sure, many people throughout your career in Microsoft, at Tongo. Um, I'm sure part of it has been through your own leadership challenges, but is there anything in particular that helps you to stay inspired and motivated, Anna? Is it your mentors? Is it your leadership? Is it the problem that you're trying to solve? I'm curious as to, you talked about the fire in the belly and waking up with it.
Mhm.
What keeps that burning for you?
It's customers. It's
Mm,
being able to see how I'm having a real impact
right.
on people's day-to-day lives.
Mm,
If I'm feeling down or I need some inspiration, call a customer. Listen to what they have to say. Set up a co-design session.
yeah. I have been certainly in that point in my career where you're feeling really down, right? To your point.
Yeah.
And then you go and you spend a half a day or morning with your customer, and it really does energize you, doesn't it? You
Yeah.
come back from
Because
those sessions like feeling like I can accomplish stuff. I
I
can get
can do
things
it.
done. I can do it. I just saw them use my product in a way that I never even thought of. Right.
Exactly.
And they're using it in that
I
way.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So I've certainly come back from customer visits feeling really revved up. Right.
Yeah.
The trick is, of course, keeping that going. And maybe to your point, that means go talk to another customer, go talk to, another
Yeah.
stakeholder. Don't let that just be like a one and done or some sort of like inconsistent practice. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I took a high performance leadership class based
Oh.
on Michael Gervais's work
Mhm.
on success. He's worked a lot with Olympic athletes.
Yeah.
One thing that really resonated with me about that chat, that work and research that he and his teams have put together is passion and perseverance, right? Passion, like waking up to be a high performer, waking up every morning with that fire in your belly,
Right.
but also being able to sustain that over time. And I think with perseverance, there's a lot written about that, right? There's
Yeah.
project management books, how to manage your task list, all that, but not really anything about how to maintain that passion over time.
That's
And
important.
then
Yeah.
when I'm looking outside, I'm talking to customers, hearing what we were just talking about, and then if I'm feeling more depleted inside, I really try to make myself take a moment of rest, step back, because it brings me fresh perspectives, right? When I
Right.
change the way I look at things, the things I look at change is one of my favorite phrases. And but just that customer from an outside perspective, and then internally, really giving myself permission to step away from the laptop, right?
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you about I teach a class in leadership and management. And last night, coincidentally, I was talking to my class, and I don't know if you know Brene Brown, but she's
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, everything that she does with the soul. And we were talking about her sort of notion of, bravery, resilience, accountability, vault, integrity, right? Braving, she calls it, right? The braving acronym. And boundaries number one, right?
Oh,
And so you feel like, Anna, you can set those boundaries, for example, to help you maintain your resilience and accountability and all the other pieces of the braving acronym.
right. And also, being able to learn and grow and
Sure.
get feedback and
Yep.
respond to that feedback. One thing she said I heard her speak at Microsoft. She said she got some reviews. Brene Brown got some reviews, and her some of them she felt were too personal. Right?
Right.
She said, "You can talk about my work, my impact, how I do it, but my personhood is off the table." Right? We're not discussing that, and that just has stuck with me for the last 10 years since
That's
I
awesome.
heard her say that. Is just
Yeah.
like that focus on the work, right?
Yeah.
When things get tough, focus
Yeah.
on the work.
Focus on the work. Absolutely. I love the rumble and the reckoning and the revolution as well.
Yeah.
Like you kind of have your first reaction, which is the rumble reaction, which is like you don't want to just scream and shout and pound your fist, but you do it in private, and you do it in quiet, and then the next piece of it is really kind of the reckoning, is when you write that email but you don't send it, right? And then finally the revolution is you get to a point of, okay, I've worked through this now, like you say, I'm focusing on the work, I'm
Yeah.
moving on. Yeah, she has some
Yeah.
great stuff. That's another piece.
There's another quote that I heard from, I
Yeah.
think her name is Sylvia Bernstein or something. She's a
Okay.
Buddhist.
Okay.
She said one mantra, like had different mantras as time went by. And one of her mentors said he only had one mantra: don't make it worse.
I like that one.
Don't make it worse.
Yeah, exactly. I love how you're talking to us a little bit about, balancing your professional and your personal life and your community. It's wonderful. As you think Anna, about legacy and what you hope to leave behind with your work and the sustainability that you want to create at Tongo, and you think about what will define success for you, both personally and for the company, what comes to mind, Anna?
It's how many people we've helped,
Mm,
right?
hmm.
It's solving this inequity. I would love to have this lasting cultural impact of products, not just the Tongo products, but other products, this market making idea of getting products to match people that are fit for purpose, that for
Nice,
people that work on commission.
nice. I love it. We have been speaking with Anna Kinney, the Chief Product Officer of Tongo. GetTongo.com, am I right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited to see how you will continue to shape this space and really have an impact on people who are living lives of commission based or gig economy, or let's just call it, I don't know, non predictable income or non regular
Yeah.
income, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Lumpy is the word I use.
Lumpy.
Lumpy.
There you go. Yeah, I certainly have talked to many CFOs about lumpy income. Thank you for doing the work that you folks are doing. I think you're going to have a tremendous impact. You already are, but you're going to continue to have a bigger impact with what you're bringing to market. And Anna Kinney, Chief Product Officer, Tongo, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for the time. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you.
You're welcome.